Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Beacons Are Lit, a Lord of the Rings podcast. This one covering The Rings of Power, Season 1, Episode 3, titled Adar. I'm the host, Mike Marbach, and today I'm joined by Matt Guerin.
Hello.
Kelly Conrad.
Hey there.
And Stacy Lyons.
What's up?
Yes, the Fellowship, the full Fellowship is back in action to cover The Rings of Power. I was not here last week. I got COVID. Just going to put it right out there. I got sick. I got the thing that's going around, and it got me after 2.5 years of dodging it. It finally caught up with me, but I'm back. So we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 3. But because I wasn't here last week, I do want to mention some things and my general thoughts on this show. First of all, y'all did a great job. Thank you for covering. Matt, thank you for hosting. I thought you did great. I love that you were apologizing to people for your level-headed opinions. Don't worry, everybody. Mike's coming back, the real champion of the show. He will be back, and I am back. And I have some things to say about.
And you just unveiled a scroll for the listeners, a Santa Claus language.
I have some prepared remarks.
Okay, here's the deal. So I am on record as saying I don't give a shit about the source material. This is a show on its own. I don't care that these aren't the Peter Jackson films. I don't care how closely it is. I don't care if they invent new characters or they change histories. I don't care about any. I don't care that it cost $1 billion to make. I don't care about any of that. I'm judging the show on its merits, and it stunk. No, I'm just kidding.
And I hated it.
I am signing off for the last time right now. No, I thought they were both very, very solid episodes. I thought the second one was a little bit weaker than the first. I really enjoyed the prologue. I thought overall the visuals were fantastic. Some things I think look a little too clean, a little too, not just for the time, but just they look too perfect. Because even though we're thousands of years, some of those buildings had been around for thousands of years already. So there's going to be some wear and tear on those things, and everything looks in some of the, especially in the Elven areas, just looks brand new. Maybe they just have regular upkeep, which I'm sure there are elf crews going around just, tuning everything up and polishing and whatnot.
An elf construction crew, could you?
Yeah. So everything just looks, a lot of things just look a little too perfect. Still beautiful. I'm still on board. I'm not going to stop watching the show because things look too good. I love the Harfoots. Definitely on board with them. I think Nori and Poppy are fantastic. Arondir, a little stiff even for an elf, I feel. I think he loosens up a little bit as the things go on. The Stranger, I had posted in our Slack about the Stranger, who I had said that I thought that it was probably going to end up being Sauron, which is another thing I do agree that it is can be a little bit annoying within this show, but it's all viewer done. And what I'm getting at is which one's Sauron? Who's it gonna be? Kind of guess who of things.
Yeah. Similar to how Stacy was mad at me for telling her that last episode. I'm mad at me for reading it and also telling it because now it is just in my head.
Yeah.
But
I just wanted to imagine Sauron somewhere in like a cave, like legit in all blacks, just like waiting, like, oh, you found me.
Counting off days on the wall. So that can get a little bit annoying, but that really is just a viewer problem. The viewers are doing that. Nowhere in this show so far have they been like, he's coming back, but we'll never know who he's going to form as. It's not any of that stuff. It's all viewer done. The music, I think, is fantastic. I was listening to it when they released it before the episodes aired, so I thought that was really great. In a weird way, I do find myself skipping past the Howard Shore intro. It's great music, and there's allusions to the original work. But the intro itself is boring. Not the music is good, but the intro itself is kind of boring. I think it was Matt maybe talked about the maybe have some maps. Give us some maps.
Give me maps. We got some maps this third episode.
We got some maps
showing us where we're going within the episode, and I do like when they do it within the episode from segment to segment to show us that. But the intro, I hope we get a different intro with it for the second season. It's a little boring. And as far as Galadriel goes, I thought those sequences were really cool, very good, but ultimately, I don't know how needed some of that stuff was to show us who she was. I thought
Which sequences are you referring to in specifically?
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah, just about.
I could cut Galadriel out.
Okay.
I thought that
Galadriel's storyline.
No, I love I do enjoy the storyline, but I didn't think that some of the stuff was fully necessary. Her as a kid, like those young elves were dicks. Like it's such a weird, because you don't see them like that in the Peter Jackson films. Again, I don't care. So it's something new. So now I'm discovering, elves can be dicks. They get teased just like I did in elementary school. We're not going to get into it.
I would absolutely love to get into it. Call it.
Wait, you were the teaser or the TZ?
Let's just say I tried to make a lot of boats and people didn't like it.
Okay.
And the elf, or not the elf, the snow troll, I thought that was really cool. But
thank you.
Her doing all of that work herself. Her doing everything herself. Like, why do you need all of those people with you if you're that badass of a warrior?
Mike, if someone's not with her, whose sword is she gonna jump off of? Okay.
Yeah. There was a lot of really, really cool things. Ultimately, I don't think they did too much to further. I think there are better ways to show what they were getting at that weren't necessarily as showy or as weren't necessarily action pieces, but still things were just moving a little too fast. I wish we did stay a little bit more in some of these areas and with some of these characters, because the payoff for cutting ahead to episode 3 here, when Arondir's buddy dies, that didn't hit me as hard because we had such a brief amount of time with that person.
Yeah, like who the fuck was that?
Had we seen him before?
Yeah.
Oh.
And the Watch Warden.
What? Who's the elf? God, what's his name that dies in Two Towers on the tower?
Haldir.
Haldir. Okay, I was like Hall something, but
Hall and Oates.
Allusions to that within this, but we'll chat more about that in a moment. I think I'm just about wrapped up with my first 2 episodes. So before we get to the first,
I have to know, Mike, how you felt, because I was very split on the dwarfs with Kelly and Matt.
All right.
How did you feel about the dwarfs?
I thought it was great. I thought Khazad-dûm looked fantastic. I thought it was beautiful. I love seeing how that looked in its prime with all the vegetation and everything just intact. I thought it was really well done. I think definitely some things were showing as CGI. But I got past it. Which was the case with a lot of the show, but I got past it very easily. None of it was so glaringly bad to me that I was like, CGI stinks. Not that you have to suspend belief for all this stuff anyway. So
show me the real Khazad-dûm.
Yeah. So I thought that was really great. And I thought this depiction of the elves was great. So much better than the way they were kind of portrayed within, again, the Peter Jackson trilogy of the Hobbit.
The dwarves or the
dwarves?
Dwarves.
The dwarves. Yeah, I'm sorry. I really what's his face? Red hair.
Doran.
Yeah.
Doran.
I thought he was great. I thought the moments with him and Elrond were very good. Mm-hmm. The way that they got there was a little odd to me. Like Elrond had to kind of suggest, like, well, what if it wasn't just the elves kind of doing this, and I know a guy, let me make some calls.
And then they were just there.
They walked.
They walked across the street.
Yeah.
That doesn't bother me in the least. I am very much okay with them skipping right to it. There are parts in Game of Thrones where, especially later seasons, where boom, we're there.
Oh, yeah.
Boom, we're there. Within the earlier seasons, you saw a lot of their journey and all
Yeah,
those
but in the
bad shit
later
that
seasons, it stunk.
Yeah, exactly.
Cut to it when we don't need what happens before. If the whole point is them talking to the elves, let's just cut to the elves or the
I can
dwarves,
agree.
excuse me.
I think the way in which it was done though was just a little amusing. Like, but
Would you have preferred Elrond slow-mo riding on a horse on the beach with the close-up shot of his face
honestly,
smiling?
that was well, the close-up was bad, but the shots of the horse were maybe the most beautiful shots in the series so far.
Yeah, and I also think that
It was
that
jarring.
is a simple thing to do in editing. Just throw another scene or two in between.
Yeah.
From other segments, and the audience will more easily assume that some time has passed and they didn't teleport over.
Right.
So it's right in front of the door. Yeah. All right. So before we get to our first impressions of episode 3, I do want to mention that if you enjoy the podcast, please go to iTunes and rate and review and let us know that. We are going to do a giveaway at the end of this season for something Lord of the Ringsy, and we'll announce that in one of the upcoming episodes. Oh no, we did decide what that's going to be. There is a shirt that was put out by Elijah Wood and some others, which is, I think it says, "You are welcome here," and it's all the different colored ear, all the different species of ear and color of ear of elves and species of Middle Earth, which kind of bridges all generations of these shows and films. So I think that's going to be our prize, and you'll just let us know what size. So we'll send that out. So that's what you have to look forward to. All right. First impressions of episode 3, Adar. Kelly.
Hello. First impressions. I'm not sure much else stood out to me from this episode. Stood out to me about this episode from the other 2 that we've seen. It felt still like a lot of exposition, especially with visiting Numenor and meeting the Numenorians for the first time. I think what I'm realizing is the issues I have isn't with the content of the show. Like, it's not artistic choices. It's more like technical choices and like how things are pieced together. I feel like out of sync with the show. Like, they have these moments that they clearly want to hit, much like the death of that elf, that I feel literally nothing for. I like feel nothing. And same, I think, with like the action sequences. Like, we had, I guess, like the biggest action sequence so far that wasn't like in the prologue at the very beginning. Mm-hmm. And even though there were some like cool moves, I was like, for some reason, this feels like, I don't know if it's editing, I don't know if it's story, but it just feels off to me. And I'm left being like, okay, I know that those are cool stunts, but I still like kind of don't feel anything. I don't know if maybe this is my problem. I'm starting to think this is my problem.
I'm supposed to enjoy as a human being, but I don't.
So I think I'm realizing like, oh, I think I'm just, it's just edited and put together in a way that I'm not quite on board with. And I kind of disagree with you, Mike, about the music. I think the music feels very homogenous. Like, I can't even tell the difference between like the motifs. I'm like, oh, great. Everything just kind of like sounds very similar versus Genius, Howard Shore. It's like, oh, okay, we know this is Rohan's motif. We know that this is Rivendell. We know that this is the Shire, like almost like instinctually. And I'm just not getting that. Granted, I know it's episode 3. But the music, I realized in this episode, I'm like, oh, I don't know if I'm on board with Bear. But I do think it's picking up, mind you, a little slower than I wish it was. I do feel like so far we're really like trudging. Is that a word?
Mm-hmm.
along quite slowly. But hey, I'm still here. I'm still here, and I'm really I'm
fulfilling your contract.
Yes.
I show up, I watch, I do the homework.
I will be
I
here for the
am
next 5
sitting
years.
in the front row. No, I think I'm really like, I want to be on this show's side. Like I'm trying really hard to be there for the show, to support the show. It's so far it hasn't been so easy.
Okay. Matt.
Kelly, I don't think it's your problem. I think I agree with everything you said, I think. And
Hooray.
I was saying to Nicole, I think the technical aspects of the kind of what you're talking about, like how it's pieced together, there's something off or you're not on board with. I was trying to pinpoint it with my wife Nicole earlier, and I was like, there's so much. She kept saying there's so much going on. There's like so many different plot lines. Like it's so hard to follow and keep up with it all. I'm like, I agree. I think it's that cup, but I'm like, but there was also so much going on in Game of Thrones. We were cutting through all these different plot lines, but I'm like, why does Game of Thrones feel like so interesting that episode 3 in, where this still leaves me feeling rather cold or just lukewarm, if anything? And I think it's that Game of Thrones in the beginning knew it was going to be a talky political show mainly. So we were spending lots of time with these characters, getting to know them through interesting dialogue and building them out so that we care about them. And we're also, there also wasn't the shadow of the movies to deal with. Then I'm like, okay, so this show I think is trying to do all these different plot lines, but also fulfill like the genre or dramatic kind of setup and cadences of the Jackson trilogy. Like we need to do action. We need to like set up all these different characters. We need to go to all these different places. We need to establish these different Tolkien tropes and blah, blah, and still do that all within like an hour. Like we need to have like all these kind of different beats, and like give that drama and that spectacle of the Jackson movies where it's like, you haven't earned that yet. And I think that's like clearly why the Arondir action sequence at the end feels so hollow, because it's like, I don't care about him yet, and I don't know his friends at all. I wouldn't have remembered them if they didn't show them in the previously on. And so it just feels like there's not any stakes to deserve the spectacle, or it's leaning too heavily on, you love Lord of the Rings, right? You know what Numenor is, so you're going to be like so amazed to see it, rather than like earning that reveal on its own. Although that said, Numenor looks pretty cool in some of the wide shots. It was all right. But so yeah, I'm just gonna leave it. That's my thesis right now on why it feels off in a couple different ways. But yeah, and I just pretty much agree with Kelly.
Okay. I don't know. Okay.
Mike has tears falling down his cheek.
I'm so glad you started with film critics Kelly and Matt, and then came to me for my opinion. Totally honestly, I actually really agree with Kelly and Matt here. I haven't really felt like there's a cohesive tone yet to the show. Whereas I think like when you're talking, I hate to keep talking about Game of Thrones, but you could tell what that tone was. And the Lord of the Rings movies, you could tell what the tone was. And like Arondir, for example, I feel like it's been 3 different genres that he's been in so far. And this to me is the most interesting one. And I think episode 3, I was more in it than some of the others. I feel like I can pick and choose which parts of the show are like my favorite, and I can tell you why. But I shouldn't be able to do that. I should just be able to be like, yes, that was a cohesive episode and I liked it so much. So I agree. What's up?
Sorry, I was just going to say, like, I think it's okay to talk about Game of Thrones as just like, it's a touch point to this. Like, this show wouldn't exist if Game of Thrones wasn't as the success it was, right? So like,
right, because that brought in like a fantasy audience, and this is trying to capitalize on
Game of
that.
Thrones
There
wouldn't
is like
exist
a mainstream.
if not for the Lord of the Rings films.
Yeah, exactly.
It's weird.
Yeah,
Sorry,
I didn't mind the fight at the end. To be totally honest with you, I fell asleep during this episode, and that woke me up. And then I went back and I had to rewatch the whole thing. So I was like, "This is cool. This is something that's happening," and that kind of made me bummed out. Like, there should be more happening. And I can't even complain about like a slow show because there is so much to set up, and I'm assuming it's going to pick up, and I don't mind a slow burn, but I'm trying really, really hard, and I'm going into it every single time with an open mind, trying not to be too critical. I'm trying to think about how I would be watching this if we weren't podcasting, if I didn't feel the need to discuss it. And I'm still coming up like there's some wonky stuff. There's just some wonky stuff that I just wish were a little bit better. And I can almost like point out the things that I just wish were done a little bit better.
We should get a podcast for that.
Wow.
Well, we'll talk about them as we go.
Okay. Yeah, I
And
love
record
the
it.
episode.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I guess I got some things to say. No, I love the episode. It was my favorite of the 3 so far. I don't have the same disjointed feelings about the show that you 3 have. I wish for, as the episodes progress and as the seasons progress, that they abandon any feeling of allegiance to the Lord of the Rings films and just make the show that they want to make. Because I do feel, if I'm to agree with anything that any of you have said, that in a way, not that you've said this, but this is what it makes me think of, the adherence to the Lord of the Rings films that Peter Jackson created and that the writings of Tolkien are holding this show from being the cohesive show that I feel like the 3 of you are looking for. I think right now they're trying to please all parties, and as a result are turning a lot of people off. I'm not one of them.
It is working for me.
Yeah. Well, because I guess it's just easier for me to not give a shit, about some things that you 3 do. I really enjoyed the way that the episode was put together. I thought that it was Arondir's best episode. I loved going to Numenor. I will agree that the way in which they presented Numenor was very much a, hey, Lord of the Rings fans, look what we got here. Yeah.
The island of Numenor.
Numenor.
Oh yeah, did you hear
Kelly,
that?
I thought of
R?
you so hard when she said, I was like, and as she said, like the island of, I was like, here it comes.
I was expecting a hard R. I wasn't expecting that hard an R. It like slapped me in the face. I'm like, she is hitting those R's so hard.
Was that the Queen Regent that we're referring to?
I think it was
No,
Galadriel.
Galadriel.
Okay.
There's only one place we could be going, to the island
Of Numenor.
Numenor. I thought that the Harfoots showed some more depth and heartlessness to what they're doing here, and some of Numenor definitely got a little goofy with Galadriel kind of like hopping around, trying to escape. Yeah. But yeah, I thought that this episode started moving things along in a way that is still very much a lot of exposition. Like if this show is 8 episodes, which it's 8 episodes. We're 3. We might not get past exposition, which we need for this season until like 7. And that's still going to be setting up a whole lot of exposition for the seasons to come.
Yeah.
But like I said, I am on board. I love it.
Love it?
I do. It is not perfect, but I do love this show because of the fact that I do love those films. And I love being in that world.
I'm happy for you, Mike. I would love to love a show right now.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, man, I would love to be so pumped on this show. Like,
I really would.
Nothing would please me more to have new, exciting Lord of the Rings content in my life.
If this was like just a short show about the Harfoots, I think I'd be like, this is a perfect show.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm kind of wavering on the Harfoots.
I really like the Harfoots.
All right, well, let's,
it's
a good
the
thing
best
we're
part.
talking about the Harfoots now, because that is first on our list of discussion. First is Harfoots, then Arondir, and then Numenor. So Harfoots, Stacy, what do you got?
I just like consistently love them. I thought that the reading of the names was so lovely.
It's
I
so
just
lovely.
like, it was so dark,
The
and
way they
but
talked about everybody, they just
yeah,
were like, sorry.
like
Go
this,
bye.
the Harfoots to me have the most consistent tone, which is like goes back to what I said before. I feel like I live in the, every time I'm in it, I live in this world,
That's
and I
fair.
find out more about them as a group and as a culture and a community, and that's why I feel so connected to them.
Mhm.
That it's easy for me to get in those scenes. I could do without some of the physical comedy, but that's just one woman's preference. But I just consistently think that like Nori and Poppy are like some of my favorite characters on the show. I love the story with her dad. Are they going to get left behind? I mean, I just feel like I actually feel something for these people when I'm going through these scenes.
Yeah, I think that the show has made the most of the little time that we have spent with them. Better than Arendir, better than Galadriel, because they've really just been moving Galadriel from set piece to set piece, and watching her interact, excuse me, as a means to an end to introduce different groups of people.
She's covering thousands of years. Arondir is covering presumably quite a long time, and the Harfoots, I feel like we're living in like a 3-day period with them, which also is, I think, easier to tell that story.
Yeah, and even the Numenorians are hundreds in the probably 200 years old, some of them.
Yeah, we're able to be with the Harfoots and get their story as it moves along, instead of like relying on like, oh, look at these old scrolls. What did we learn about us now?
Well, oh man. I just realized, like, wouldn't it have been amazing if the show applied like the Dunkirk like formula of storytelling, where it's like, we're going to follow the elves for like thousands of years, but we're going to follow like the Harfoots for like 3 days, and and the dramatic points all kind of align. I don't know. That just
is that not what they're doing?
No, I think it's all is it not?
I think it's all around the same time.
Oh, I just assumed that it was like gonna catch up eventually.
No, I think they are condensing. I think the only thing that we've seen.
So in your head, you did
that was
the Dunkirk
prologue.
This movie's worse than I thought. The show's worse than
Nobody goes off trail. Nobody walks alone. Yeah, it was dark shit, because they really do, like, you can't excuse me, you can't keep up. Sorry,
like,
them's the bricks.
You can't apply the morals of a centralized society on a nomadic one,
No, that's how they survived.
How wagon trails operated,
Also mentioned by someone or several people in the last one was the way that they look, with the acorns and the leaves and all that.
The porcupine quills.
I started wavering on this because after Kelly brought it up, all I could see was the goddamn acorns in their hair. But when they started migrating and stuff,
and you saw that it was camouflage.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
Okay, I love it, kind of. And their clothes, when they like hid, I'm just like, oh, they look like little grassy knolls. You could barely even see them. Everybody's dressed like a sniper 24/7. It's awesome.
The main guy has a full head of porcupine quills, and at one point he ducks down when the stranger like appears, and he legitimately looks like a porcupine.
Yeah,
that was like, I feel like in this episode, that was when I saw it like in action, and I'm like, okay, I get it, but still, when they're not hiding, it's still distracting to me.
I kind of don't like the dad that much, Nori's dad that much, because we operated in such a close up of him, and the acorns were just like bobbling around in his short hair, and I'm
Matt would leave him behind just because
of the bobbly acorns.
Hand over your nuts and get to the back of the line.
Yeah. What is all this?
I still like the Harfoots. They give me heavy Lost Boys and Hook vibes.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
I think Stacey brought up such a key point about the Harfoots, which is they do feel like the most actualized race of people in this series so far. And I feel like every time we see them, we're learning new information. And with the other people, we're either moving so fast that we're just onto a completely new situation, I think that's mostly it, is we're moving to a different, we're moving these people. Arondir is like captured, Galadriel's who the hell knows where, like on any given day is just somewhere completely different. Whereas the Harfoots are, even though they're nomadic, there's like there's a consistency and almost ironically like a stillness to them that I think is like allows you to just connect with them more. And I do feel like, because I did read some reviews kind of about this episode and how people were so taken aback that the Harfoots have a dark side. And I don't understand why that's like a negative thing at all. I don't know. It was weird, but people were just like, whoa, the Harfoots are so dark. And
What
I'm
exactly
like, so?
is the dark side? Like,
I'm just leaving people behind rather
That
than helping out and bringing them along.
Yeah, I don't know.
Some of the people that they left behind sounded like they were dead.
Boring.
Like they were like, the bees got him. And it's like, you can't help someone who's been gotten by the bees.
Yeah,
No,
it's gonna happen.
You don't want to be stung.
No.
They're all allergic.
How many
Exactly.
bees?
It's
Could
like
be a
one
lot.
guy was like caught in a snowstorm. It's like, yeah, if you stop in like a snowstorm, like everyone's gonna die. So like, and they,
It
I
will
like
be
that
the
they have
death
this
of the
ritual and they
Harfoots.
try and remember them. It shows to me not a lack of heart, but like an ability to make the tough decisions that they need to survive without losing.
It's a utilitarian people.
Yeah.
And to me, like that's a perfect example of how this mirrors to me the Tolkien-esque like idea of like good and bad and light and evil. Is like there is going to be darkness. It's like how you deal with that and how good people deal with that. And it's like they accept that this is part of life and they try to make it right. And
Yes.
I think that is so close to like what he wrote about, that's why I think I like this stuff the most.
Yeah.
I will say some of the, or at least one line is a dialogue from the Harfoots this episode of like, do you think you're special? You're just a child. I know I'm not special. I know I'm just a Harfoot in a great big world or something like that. And I'm like, we're just so like on the nose right now. Like we're just really calling out just the themes and dialogue. It's like,
what can I do?
I mean,
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I did enjoy that. This is, I think, to Kelly's point about everybody moving around, that they they're on the move now, but they're all still together. Arondir didn't get away, so we're not just moving him to another area. And Halbrand and Galadriel are still in Numenor. So we'll have them sitting in a spot. We're going to have some discussions. We're going to meet some people and hopefully get some of those things that the show could use some more of. Within this Harfoots storyline, we still have Nori trying to get some pages from Sadok's book, which show the constellation that the stranger is trying to get to. Guess trying to get there, maybe. And so that was like some comedy moments there as Poppy was trying to guide her as she gets it. The stranger finds these paintings after he wakes up, I guess, and immediately proceeds to burn them. Somehow, because it's weird because this stranger may not be used to fire that actually burns, because there's fire and flame within this that doesn't within this world. So as soon as that happened, it was like kind of freaking out, and the way that he got discovered by all of them, and I let out a ha, and when he was like no, like there's the one where no, and everybody slowly turned back. Like, oh, I thought it was great.
Yeah,
I thought it was great. I also enjoyed Sadok when he was talking about all those that we left behind and those on this journey. We may leave some people behind. I'm not going to name any names. I'm not going to say anybody broke their foot and is going to slow people down. But
we all know that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, but if anybody does get left behind, we're just going to get the sorry out of the way right now. So that was fun, but also, yeah, a little darkness to it, but I don't care about it.
I'm going to be really mad if/when that stranger doesn't turn to be Gandalf.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going to be happy about it. And I can't wait for that episode to talk to you guys.
There is, I had said that I thought it was going to end up being Sauron, I don't think that that's the case now. I think that it probably is either Gandalf specifically or one of the other wizards. Now, some people out there reading the books, that can't be them. They didn't appear until the Third Age. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
Oh yeah, Mike. Oh yeah. Those people.
Who cares? Who gives a shit? All right, it's its own show, you know. So yeah, if it's one of those wizards, great. Or if it's some completely
Here's the
new
thing, though.
unnamed wizard.
I don't know if he doesn't appear until the Third Age. I don't know. You got to make it. You better make it worth my while why he's showing up now, right? Like,
Yeah.
But also, like, I don't
Yes.
necessarily need him. Like, I don't need another person from the trilogy coming. Like, I don't need this. We've already got Elrond. We've already got Galadriel. We've got Durin, the line of Durin, at least. They're basically the same. So I don't know, like, just chill out if it is, like, or earn it if it's going to turn out. To be
If it's not going to be Gandalf, they're really, really doing a troll here. They're really trolling because of the fireflies, because of the whole general look of him, the affinity.
It's
for
literally
the
Ian McKellen
Harfoots.
playing this role.
I do not think he looks like Ian McKellen
Yeah, I
at
don't
all.
see that. I don't see
At
that
all.
either.
Aside
I
from
re-
the
I
hair and makeup.
Fine. I guess
He-
I think all white men look the same, but to me it looks like Ian McKellen.
So
I look in the
there's-
mirror and I see Gandalf.
so there's definitely some magic to this being. It's got to be some sort of wizard. Whether or not it's Gandalf remains to be seen. Olorin, I think, would be the elven name, or one of the elven names, and there's Mithrandir.
Yeah.
So yeah, we shall see, but I'm hoping that they go a different route and introduce us to a wizard that we've not yet seen.
I hope it's Gandalf. And I really do. I don't know why. I just, in my heart of hearts, hope it is. It would explain why he loves hobbits so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
I
sure.
would love to see him
The
pal
small
around
folk.
with hobbits for a couple 100 years and then end up in
Mhm.
the Shire.
Yep. All right. Anything more on the Harfoots or the stranger? All right.
No.
If there's more, you can bring it on out in our winners and losers. Arendir.
Damn it.
So quickly going over Arendir's stuff, we have him coming to, and he finds that he's enslaved with his other watch pals, including his watch warden. And we're hearing a lot about Adar. We're seeing they're really hammering home the fact that these orcs cannot, stand the sun. Within this scene, we also, we also get one of the characters that appeared, one of the actors that appeared multiple times within the Lord of the Rings, who played, where can we get some mates? That guy who played multiple characters within Lord of the Rings is one of the orcs within this.
Really?
here.
I thought it looked familiar and I was like, oh, they're just doing the same things.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
that's
was like,
so cool.
are we ever gonna get an orc with like a high English accent? Like a
Well, can you give us an example of what you
Yeah,
mean?
what we got?
hello, governor. How are you today?
Oh,
A high
to go,
status.
I don't want to go out in the sun. I was on sun duty yesterday.
Yeah, they're all,
It's me skinny
like
does.
this. They're all the work.
Instead of maggoty bread, do you have a vegetarian option?
I'm thirsty.
We may yet get those orphan orcs.
Maybe they sound like that when they're babies.
Oh, maybe.
Orky babies. Yeah.
I would love to see an orc baby in this series. We're gonna
Me
spend a lot of
too.
time with orcs.
Mhm.
Give me that orc baby.
I still am hoping for the Balrog baby.
Oh,
Although there probably isn't orc babies, right? Because aren't orcs like elves in whatever deformed?
Oh,
Didn't
that's right.
Lurtz? Well, he was an Uruk-hai.
he was like a full-grown
man.
Yeah,
thing. Yeah.
he was. There was no Uruk-hai baby.
There was no.
Snack and then
Orky
instantaneous-
babies.
Man.
Yeah. So we have that moment where the tree is in the way. Like you just go around orcs.
It's a big
the
tree.
It's a huge tree.
big
And it's
tree.
been
But they
there before
already-
them.
They already
as,
chiseled out
Watchwarden
like
says.
half the roots. I mean,
Yeah.
they've been working on this tree.
Yeah, and they could easily just go around, but the elves or the orcs are not having it, which leads to bit of a standoff. Watch Warden stands up for the tree. Hey, that's roots have been growing deeper than you've been alive. Something along those lines.
It's
And-
earned its place here.
Mhm.
Oh.
Oh shit.
Love that guy.
And they get some.
I was
some
sad when he got shot because he stood up for the tree.
Yeah.
he got shot.
I
Yeah.
was like, that sucks. I
And they
like
pulled
that
it.
guy.
Or
Look
pulled
how
out the
much we
shotgun.
identified with him just with one little thing. I didn't even know he was in a previous episode. So that's how memorable he was up until this point. You stand up for a tree and I'm all in on you.
Yeah. And one of the supervisor orcs comes out and it's like, you like the cut of your jib, and gives him some water. They're skeptical of the water and it passes
Yeah, that
it around.
scene, that moment lasts for like 5 hours.
So long.
I'm
and
like,
such a weird, such a weird payoff. Like they pass around the water, and then they all take a sip, and then the third guy takes a sip, and the orc just cuts his throat.
It was
I was
such
like, oh, that was a weird
Yeah.
scene.
Guys,
was
I kind of liked it.
Yeah.
It felt like Russian roulette. I was like on the edge of my seat. I was like,
Mhm.
who's gonna die? Someone's
Yeah.
gonna die.
Well,
and
yeah, and
die
it's
from the water.
definitely not going to be the guy who did the tree yet, and it's not going to be our main character. So it was just like, clearly it's going to be this other guy.
So I think this moment is a good example of more general issue that I have with the show is the show's struggle to build tension.
Oh my God,
They
yeah.
can't. They
can't.
they
Dude.
cannot build tension for a satisfying payoff, whether it's in a battle or it's in like these high stakes moments. I'm like, okay, again, I see what you're doing. And then the dude's throat is slit, and I'm like, okay.
Exhibit B of this.
Okay.
Yeah. Exhibit B of this we'll get to in a second. But yeah,
Yeah.
like it was just like, I don't know. Because then there wasn't even that much blood. And I'm not like a bloodhound, but like
Yeah,
I'm
you
I'm
are.
not a blood freak. I'm not into the blood. I'm not here for like goriness, but there's more gore in the movie. Like we see some gruesome stuff in the movies, right? And like this
It was like a paper cut.
It was like a paper cut. There was
I thought that
barely
he
any blood
wasn't
in
gonna
this.
die.
And he's an
And
elf.
like,
I'm
and
like,
if they get
come
the
on.
jugular, that bleeds so
Crazy.
much. Yeah,
Crazy.
you got some projectile there. And it was just the saddest. Even when we saw him dead on the ground, I was like, is that all the blood we're gonna get?
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. It was weird.
It was underwhelming.
Yeah.
I will say I like when shows will sit in a moment, and I'm glad we saw them sit in this moment. I would agree that probably they could sit in a few more moments or pick other moments to sit in.
which
But
to
I was
sit.
glad that we got a slow scene. I kind of
You were
liked
tired of
stuff like that.
standing. You needed to sit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
I'll
give me a
take a
chair.
chair anywhere I can at this point. Give me
Yeah.
a chair.
I thought it was fine. I thought it was a little
I
bit
bet you
odd.
loved it.
I didn't love it. I thought it was a little odd. It did take a little too long. I thought the tension was fine, but the payoff was not too satisfying. But yeah, I thought it was okay. I just think, like I said earlier, that we needed more time with this dude to give more of a shit about his death, because they were really trying to like call back to How Dear, that kind of moment. Or it seemed as if they were trying to do that, and it's not just me as a Lord of the Rings film viewer putting that on them. Yeah. So Arondir volunteers to go up and start chopping down this tree, which also allows him to see the whole landscape, which was part of the goal from the Watch Warden. And yeah, he apologizes.
Yeah, and he said it exactly like how Frodo says he's going to take the ring. He's like, if people are yelling, he's like,
Yes.
I will chop it.
Yes.
I will chop the tree.
I will take an axe to its trunk.
Who are you,
I
Frodo? Sit
thought
down.
that same thing. And I was like, was that like an intention? Was that a director's note? Was that an
We're
acting
going to see that
choice?
stuff wherever we want. Like right now, we've been with these movies for 20 years. The people in this group and so many of the super fans out there have seen those films so many times. There's going to be little that they do within this world that we're not going to attach, and this is including me, a Lord of the Rings film, Peter Jackson-y possibility to it. But that felt pretty on the nose.
Yeah, that's BS, because that was like one of the most touching,
I will chop
tragic,
it.
bravest moments.
I do not know the way.
Yeah, in
Also,
all of
like,
the movies.
Up there.
Like,
Just walk to the tree.
it's like an easy way to show like bravery, but it didn't like ring true to like
Ring.
I don't know who Aaron Deere is, but it didn't Rings of Power true to his character because he was like, it would have been more interesting and felt more right if you just like went over, like just grabbed an axe and then just started like cutting at the tree or whatever, or like just made like that silent choice instead of doing this weird like ode to the trilogy. That's just
yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah.
you know.
he's an elf, and their trees are huge within this story already.
They're really big.
He's an elf
I
and
mean,
trees are
the
huge.
significance of trees is
Both in
huge.
size
They
and
open the whole entire series talking about 2 trees, and they focus on trees in Numenor. So trees are huge. So I got no problem with them having their own in-show world payoff of those moments and showing the bond and the significance of trees there. I just thought the moments leading up were a little goofy.
Is it time
he
for
also-
the work attack? Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's go the escape, the worst escape ever. Terrible. Nobody. Yeah,
It started kind of strong. It started okay.
Yeah,
They're
I thought some of the
hacking at
visuals
the
were really
chains.
cool. Yeah. Oh, like the alternating up. That was really cool. I thought the chains pulling, the chain work, running along the chains, and then bringing down the tarps so it exposes their orc skin to the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. That was when he axed that canopy down and exposed them onto the sun. It was cool and also funny because there was an earlier moment where there is an orc that just kind of gets burned a little bit by the sun, and he goes
like Dracula.
like as soon as it goes away. And I thought that was the funniest. I laughed at the hardest in that moment.
I laughed at it. Yeah.
I laughed at it.
I laughed and I laughed.
I laughed so hard.
I love
That was cool. that was a very, that initial sequence I thought was pretty awesome, and I do think the chain work was cool. That climactic moment when the tarp falls and they all get exposed to the sun.
Yeah.
What is the moment? Is that when they release the warg?
Release the warg. Yeah, that
Yeah,
Chihuahua.
it like comes out between the I liked this whole action scene. I really did. I don't know.
So can we just talk about the warg for a minute?
Please, I'm
Chihuahwarg.
dying to talk about the warg.
Matt, go for it.
Yeah.
I'll give credit to my wife who almost instantaneously said, "Is that the weird hyena from Lion King?" Because it does look like the dumb, like kind of cross-eyed. Ooh,
What are we gonna do?
Say it again.
Yeah.
Like it looks.
You're thinking of Ed. His
Comical.
name is Ed. Put some respect on it, Matt.
Voice
Sure.
of, is that the one that is it Bobcat Goldthwait sounding
yeah.
guy?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, when they said warg, I was like, I literally said, "Oh shit!" And then we started to get a little buildup of like, okay, this is gonna be cool. But at the second I saw it come in, I was like, that looks wonky. and then we got that full frame close up of that Ren and or Stimpy looking face. And I was like, what?
Ren and
What
it
is
was both of
this?
them.
This
Yes.
looks awful.
Yeah.
It
And
was
then-
not true to the wargs that were established in the movies, which
I was
were ridden. They
I
had
was
riders.
fine with that. I
Yeah,
thought
I'm
it
fine with
definitely
different.
looked weird. I thought it looked like its own thing. But again, we are thousands of years beforehand. So not only is there general evolution, but a lot of these creatures, we have to remember, are continually no, they're tortured and changed
Yeah,
into being what they are.
This
be
is a
clear, I don't have a
proto
problem-
warg.
Yeah, this is
proto warg.
prototype.
I don't have a problem with it being different looking than the trilogy, to be clear. I just have a problem with
It looks
the way
It
that
looking
you made it look.
dumber.
You
Yeah.
could have made it look different and scary and interesting. And
Well, and that's the thing is like, yeah, I totally agree, Mike, that take some liberties with how these creatures look, but this warg, they like clearly tried to make it look badder and meaner and scarier. And I simply think the design just failed.
Yeah,
I simply
just-
do not think it worked.
I simply think it was a failure.
think that failed on all fronts.
Like
You are holding
artistically,
a pen right now, and it kind of looks like a cigarette holder.
I'm
I
just,
simply don't think it works.
I just think it was, I'm so sorry for whoever the team that designed this warg. I feel bad because I know that I assume a lot of work went into it, but I just thought it just
Lot
looked
of work.
so stupid. It looked so dumb.
Stupid. It looked so stupid.
Kelly, if this thing was coming at you, you'd run. You'd laugh first, then you run.
My last words would be, "You're so ugly."
What the fuck are you?
I don't
What are
think
those?
I don't think I hated it as much as you guys did.
Yeah, I didn't.
Probably because the first thing it started doing was chewing people up from the side, which wouldn't kill you instantly. You would just be attacked and then bleed a slow death, and that really got to me. That really got in my head.
Because that man died instantly when he got a paper cut on his jugular, so they're going out like that. It's not
Did you
a problem.
notice that the warg swept someone's leg? It was like his head swept him off his feet and then like,
Oh.
poof. Yeah,
Headbutted him.
pretty much. It also looked like, and this may fall flat as far as this description goes, but it looked like when Sonic the Hedgehog was being released, they released the look of
people
Sonic
got
the
so
Hedgehog,
angry.
and people got so angry at the
Yeah.
design. It looked like this. It looked
Those-
like this. You got $1 billion. Come on.
You know what also annoyed me is that you have to have such taste for your moments, and they clearly wanted this warg to be a moment.
Yeah.
And so they like gave it its thing. And I think the warg just wasn't good.
Yeah.
Like they just
Like,
didn't
Release the
capitalize on their
warg,
moment.
Ominous music, and then
Yeah. I don't they did, I think, too much. They gave the warg too much of a personality, and it just truly felt, dare I say, extra. Hey.
They
It just
made
felt
the-
excessive.
who am I gonna
not
tear
to
up
do
tonight?
another not to do another video game reference, but he looked like a Crash Bandicoot boss. Like, I'm gonna go.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, he did.
Mhm. Yeah, he's gonna have his own kart racing game soon.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm looking at Google images of the warg. It looks worse than I remember it looking. It
Okay,
does.
yeah. You were pretty sleepy, so
I did
Pleasure.
wake up during this scene. So yeah.
It looks like a 1980s werewolf movie character transition.
It does.
Like-
you know
like
what? I think
Scott-
you're insulting 1980s werewolves. Like Howling's
looks
got
like-
some
It
great
looks no,
werewolves.
it looks like a howling one.
The howling. I would love the howling werewolf over this personally.
Do you know what
Looks
I
like a
think
howling.
a big issue is? So I'm looking at an image of like the Jackson warg and the Rings of Power warg. The warg in Rings of Power has human shaped eyes.
Yes, it does.
Weird.
They didn't think versus the warg in the Jackson warg, the eyes are really beady. They're kind of on the side of their head, almost like a hammerhead shark or something. Whereas this warg has like some like big old human eyes.
Yeah, those words are more boar-like. This
It
is more
does
definitely more
look like
hyena-ish.
It does look like the Sonic.
It does.
Awful.
Okay,
I
I
think
stand corrected. This thing looks
this-
terrible, and I was not paying attention.
All right, good. I'm glad you've come around.
Yeah.
The warg reveal in this is like, I think, very comparable to the troll. I already talked about the troll reveal when we did the snow troll. But the troll reveal in Fellowship, like that troll doesn't look good, right? Like that troll's pretty not great CGI, but it
Yeah.
comes in and it has that roar and the sound design behind that roar. Like, where's the great sound design in this show now that I'm thinking about it? I don't know. And it's just this show's just making me appreciate Jackson and that crew of people and artists and writers' talent all the more, because holy shit, is this really hard to pull off and do well and do convincingly, do terrifyingly, do funny, like, but Jackson did it. And it's just like, man, yeah, not everybody can do this. But we're only episode 3 in, so who knows?
Let's. I want to just keep count of how many times we say that. We're like, but we're in season 3, episode 5, so like we'll see.
So this escape has not gone well. The Watch Warden does make it up there after Arondir is able to subdue the warg, and immediately is Boromir'd.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Minus
the reveal
the
of him.
emotion.
yeah, minus the emotion.
I felt this one.
I did kind of feel this one, and I thought it was well done. The reveal of him like just standing there was kind of
Yeah.
like eerie in that smoking environment. Then he turns, you see the arrow, and
Mhm.
it did feel like a loss. Like I did feel like it
Yeah,
hit.
this one I
Like,
felt.
they're kind of screwed.
Because we got a little bit more time with him in the first episode, and then a little bit here, not so much the friend.
And he
And now
stood
we're-
up for a tree.
Yeah. And now we're
Yeah.
just stuck with Borendir.
Oh, got him.
Ooh. Yeah.
I've
So
been,
he
I've been waiting to
is-
drop that one all night.
He is laid
Really good
out,
timing.
about to get killed, and they're like, "Wait,
Hold on.
hold on, wait, oh, just 1 second,
Excuse me,
And-
wait a second, please.
save him
A
for
pish, wait a pish posh.
Adar." So then this, Adar starts, chant starts coming, and Adar's coming out. Is that Adar's music? And he starts coming out, and
He's high
we don't-
fiving other orcs on his way.
Yeah, foam fingers. Yeah. And we don't get to see Adar, but definitely looks elvish to me,
Yeah.
because they do say Adar is like an elven word, which in my writing, not my writing, the opposite, my reading, is father.
Hmm.
So
It kind of looked like
the-
Loki. Like he
there
had,
was
like,
some
black
Lokiness.
elf
Yeah, there was
hair,
the Loki feel to it. So one of the things is this could be Sauron. This could be another.
Every
Sauron.
single character.
It could, yeah, it could be any character. This could be Sauron. Galadriel could be Sauron. And
I think Nori's Sauron.
ooh,
Poppy.
Dark Horse. Yeah. The odds on that are pretty good. You put down $1, you win $1 billion.
Ew.
Yeah, so
All
this
of
could be Sauron. It also, if father, in my reading and watching of a couple breakdown clips and things like that, one of the thinkings is that this could be a fallen elf who was on the side of Morgoth. So basically, one of Morgoth's lieutenants, like a Sauron, one of Sauron's lieutenants, or it could be the father of the orcs, the person, the thing that helped birth the orcs and tortured them into being.
When you
Or it could
say
be-
helped birth them, what do you mean?
Help create them.
So what? How?
Sperm donor.
That's what we got to find out, because
Sperm donor.
it's
So
hard.
he's got the
Yes.
orc sperm.
Yeah, he is. There's an orc sperm bank, and it's all this guy's stuff.
Wow.
I'm gonna predict that this is Theo's father.
Could be. Yeah.
Oh,
It took me a second to remember who the fuck Theo was
Yeah.
in this episode.
solid
Could
predict.
be. Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm still going with the Aaron deer on that. Mike, you were kind of with me, right? Or
I
no- or no?
definitely was, and I still kind of am. Just looks wise, I think that kind of fits more than the other possibility that I have in my head, which is Halbrand. Because he is, they said in this
Oh.
episode that he is from the Southlands. He left the Southlands. So that seems to line up in my mind.
Yeah.
Or like Theo could
wise.
be
Also,
a
so
prince or
far-
something.
Yeah, and also in like episode 3, we're gonna get to Isildur and his dad. Like they don't look like a family at all. So maybe just nobody looks related in this show. So I
No.
don't know.
Yeah. Well, we also haven't seen their mother. I thought that they looked. I thought they. Yeah. I'm.
I don't personally. That's not gonna put it all together for me.
Mike
They
is
look
giving this
like
show
they-
so much credit.
Yeah.
I-
One woman can't do that.
I think it's less me giving it credit. Okay. Yeah, I'm giving it credit. But also not reading, not looking for things that don't make sense. I think there's a lot of that
yeah,
going
no,
on.
I'm being
on too.
nitpicky.
Yeah.
No, I kind of like love that in Game of Thrones when some of the characters look like they could actually be related.
Yeah, I'm always happy when that happens because it's just
Yeah.
like that's a good casting director. Like that's
Like
somebody
Marjorie and what's her Loris. I thought they looked like brother and sister.
Oh, the Tyrells. Yeah. Oh
Mm.
man. All right. So let's move on. If there's anything more about Arendir, Adar to be discussed, we can do it as things go. So let's Galadriel. Let's talk about Numenor. A little bit more about Numenor. Thoughts?
It had some what was, you're gonna kill me. I want to say Minas Tirith. Is that where Denethor was?
Yeah.
It had some Minas Tirith-y vibes to it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, the Numenorians, they built Minas Tirith. Right?
Yeah. Isildur founded Minas Tirith. Yes.
It had vibes, and I liked seeing the faces and the walls and stuff.
And that's the thing too, Mike. I'll be quick here. Like how you're kind of saying like I don't care about their allegiance to the films. I would almost rather they abandoned the film's aesthetic entirely.
That's what I said.
But I think that like we have to keep comparing it to the films because clearly
they're trying to do that.
They're trying to do it so much, but that's all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that there is definitely some of them trying, but there's also going to be situations where they're using the writings and
yeah,
you may draw.
I just mean like aesthetic
wise
in this aspect of just like just give me all new set design and appearances and stuff.
Yeah,
because you can go crazy with that stuff adapting the works,
I think I agree that I thought Numenor was so grand and like I think those wide shots of it are pretty cool. When we get a little closer into like smaller spaces in Numenor, I do think it feels a little naked. Like it feels a little sparse, and similar to what you were saying, Mike, at the beginning, is I do think even though the set design and these things like looks really nice, it does at times look a little too perfect and it looks like a set. It's like, oh, where's the detail in the stone? Where's the detail in these drapes? I felt like in Numenor when they were, I don't know, like in that, what was it, like a dining hall of sorts or something in like the town square. I just found myself looking around and being like, where's the detail? This literally just looks like wood and drapes. And that's kind of all that I'm looking at. So I do think that it has a like a coldness, lack of detail on like in the finer detail of things.
I'm good on all the general details of things. I think they hit it where it matters. When I was talking about it, I meant more. Everything just looks so new.
Well, but I think that's detail, right? Like for
Not
things,
to me, no, it looks brand new. Things just look brand new. The detail I see in where I need to see it.
But like things wouldn't look new if there was detail in making them look old. Right.
Like,
that's where you get
with dirt, like putting mold and moss on things.
Yeah.
You talk about like that kind. Yeah. Like if we're talking dirt, sure.
Well, what
that's
kind of
detail.
Okay.
What kind of detail are you talking?
Inscriptions, backdrop, general set design,
like
things that make things look and feel real. The only real thing I was missing was some aged look. We're in dirt.
Yeah.
And dirt.
I do think that's kind of, I guess, Harfoots aside, I think that's kind of across the board. Is I think that like newness, to me screams like lack of detail in making it look this ancient the way that it I feel like it should.
I feel similarly about that. I think it may be just TV, like TV at this scale, like it's hard to do the same level of detail and like artistry in this scope, in this like high fantasy, high budget world. Like it's just like, I don't know, it's got to be way harder to achieve than it is in a feature length movie.
Very true.
But I also think like I'm also curious to like learn more about the crew and like who's working on this show, because just from like what I know from like the trilogy, it was just like an entire like village of like worth of people that just loved everything Lord of the Rings and like cared about every single detail. Like every department was just so passionate about everything. And I'm curious to see how much that's the case for the crew of like the show too.
Yeah.
It'd be cool if that is the case, but do better, am I right?
Love it more.
More dirt.
So we
Love it more.
meet Elendil for the first time.
That was cool.
Yeah. I like him as a character. I like him a lot. I like the whole
I
family.
like him too.
I liked
Yeah.
him too. He was kind of Aragorn-esque, and he was kind of like one of those characters who was really sure of himself and felt like I knew him the second I met him. It's like
Mhm.
it's kind of like a
Mhm.
Harfoot thing where like you get someone's vibe and you're like, all right, I'm in it with this guy.
Yeah. They are walking through. Galadriel gives a little bit of the backstory of Numenor itself when she's talking to them, and she says to Halbrand, "These men are not like you. Your ancestors stood with Morgoth. These men stood with the elves and got this land, Numenor, as reward." So Numenor was an elven land, which was given to the Numenorians.
At least according to the elves, because
according to the elves, yes. This was no gift. We earned this. Yeah. And it was once upon a time, elves came and went along their shores. Excuse me. And then the queen Numenor was just like, I think we're done. I think we're done with the elves coming through. And I have my theories around that. And Halbrand asks why. And Galadriel basically says, well, maybe we're here. Maybe that's why. We'll find out.
Yeah. We didn't find out, right? Unless I missed something. We don't know.
We didn't really find out. Okay. We didn't find out. I think we have the queen go to her father and say that, what the hell does she say? She basically says, "Oh, the elf is the elf is here. It is happening. The elf is here." So what I would guess is that some Numenorian person, they got their hands on some scroll, some prophecy that said that the coming of the elf will trigger like the fall of Numenor or something. Because we know that Numenor descends into the sea, and maybe their dumb human way of stopping that was, okay, wow, this is easy. We'll just, no more elves. No more elves. So when the elf shows up, that's why everybody's freaking out. And then you have the two factions. You have the elves, the elf friendlies, and then you have the other ones. And we know that the friends of the elves kind of live on, Isildur and so on. Mm-hmm. And then everybody else just like goes to the bottom of the sea, I guess. I think it's interesting in these stories because the same sort of thing. There's a cataclysm in Valyria in Game of Thrones too. So in these old high civilizations, there's always some cataclysm. All these stories.
Yeah. I wonder if the prophecy is going to be like a star-based prophecy because they're sailors. Sailors got to know the stars, right? And then that somehow ties in with the stranger and the Harfoots.
Yeah. All comes together. One bit of trivia here. The tree that they show here, the white tree, is Nimloth the Fair. And one of those seedlings was brought by Isildur in the founding of Minas Tirith and becomes the white tree of Gondor, which I thought was a nice little detail that I picked up going through things.
Great detail.
Yeah.
That's more detail than they put into that stonework in Numenor, am I right?
Yeah.
That detail was fine. Just a little clean. And
Mike loves the detail.
The Hall of Lore. While we're there, first of all, I would love to know exactly how that shit is sorted. Because the person there definitely knows what he's doing because he did a Google image search on these things and found some scrolls that had that sigil on there. But guess what? It's not a sigil. It's a map. Location, and it is Mordor.
Yeah, I saw that exact symbol spray painted on the sidewalk today. Hollingswood, New Jersey, by a sewer. And I was like, I think that's what they're using to point to this sewer line.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
funny.
I'll
Wow.
take a picture.
Are you sure it's a sewer line and it's not a bunch of dry ass orcs tunneling their way under?
Just hop down the manhole and make my way to the island, or
Could be.
Mhm.
I liked this reveal though. I was like, oh, it's a map. That's cool.
is
Oh,
that
it's
the same
Mordor.
symbol that's been carved on people's bodies and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
That Sauron symbol that he carved on Galadriel's brother, and
Yeah.
that she poured on the tomb.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Same
Mordor.
symbol.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's what the orcs in the Southland are doing right now, is they are preparing the plan which was put in place after the defeat of Morgoth, that Sauron's lieutenant would kick into action and they would transform the Southlands into a realm in which they control and then launch their attacks.
Here's
So
the
so that's where Arondir was with Bronwyn. Was
Yeah.
the Southlands.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do we ever find out why the cow turned black milk?
because it was eating food that was growing. No, I guess not.
It doesn't really explain it,
I was
right?
with you, Matt. I was with you.
I was with you too. I was like,
Trying to
tell
piece
us.
it together,
Like I
I'm
assumed it was going to be something like that, right? Like the orcs where like
Yeah.
stuff was coming up from the ground or whatever. But I think that I don't think that was.
I guess maybe the ground's bad because they're tunneling under it, but
Sour.
that doesn't
I think they're generally terraforming more or less the land as they go through and dig. And they're just being dirty pieces of shit. as
They're sending
do
their
it.
poop to the surface.
Yeah, send it.
No sewage system.
No
No.
poo down here. Poo go upstairs, huh? Yeah. We don't need no stinking poo.
Yeah, the cow was eating poo grass.
Yeah.
Turned its milk black.
I guess I don't know where Galadriel like ultimate destination is going to be. Right now it feels like Mordor, and she seems so impatient to get her job done that it's making me almost impatient with like, what are we going to be in Numenor forever? Like, I just want you to like
Get
like,
out of there.
Like, there's just so much. How long is that plot line going to take to unfold? Is it going to be the whole 5 seasons? We're just like itching for Galadriel to get to Mordor. If she
Hey,
were more
Matt,
patient, I may
if
be
she
more.
had her way, she'd be there already.
I know.
wanted
That's
to-
what I'm
she
saying. I'm
wanted
like,
to
get her
leave.
there. I want to see it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I don't really know at this point what she thinks she's gonna do. It's just her.
She thinks she's going
So
to get some
far,
army.
So far away.
Is she just trying to find Sauron? Is
Yeah.
that her only goal right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's her whole mission because that was her whole brother's mission. And she's doing her brother's job because he died.
And that's how it works.
Yeah.
She has nothing better to do.
Yeah.
Don't see a lot of other elves doing that. Just Galadriel.
She's
I
just
thought that
gotta do
the-
something.
When they came before the Queen Regent, Muriel, I thought that moment was fun. But you see it in a lot of these shows where I am Galadriel of the Noldor, daughter of the Golden House of Finarfin, commander of the northern armies of High King Gilgalad. Halbrand of the Southlands. You know?
I thought this was one of the scenes that I thought had so much potential if they just kept the camera between Galadriel and the Queen.
Yeah.
Like
lot of
their
tension
dialogue
there.
back and forth was so tense and like actually written pretty well, but they spent the whole time looking at Halbrand and looking at people murmuring, and like the audio was turned way up for people like whispering in the back, that it lost so much dramatic tension that I was just like, can we go back and like
Mhm.
just put
They have a
like,
tough time with
subtitles in them?
tension.
Yeah,
They
it
have
was
such a
like one
tough
of
time with
those
tension.
technical things that Kelly
time with
mentioned that I
tension.
was just like, just do
Tough
this
time.
scene right, and then I'll be like, oh, the ladies are fighting.
Yeah,
like,
it was good.
Like Gandalf and Theoden.
Yeah,
You know, like,
Mm.
this was a moment they could have sat in, and I felt like they rushed this,
Yeah.
Mm.
and I was bummed about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Halbrand calms the situation, and we'll stay for a bit. You suss us out and our requests and shit, and then we'll be on our way maybe. Yeah. As far as Halbrand goes, he wants to be this person wants to start anew. Galadriel finds out that he is a king. He was a king in the Southlands and has abandoned his post. Flee for your lives.
Say. Pray for your life.
And he is there. He just wants to start over. Apparently, he's a great blacksmith, and they got unions there, so I guess he can't get in unless he's got the crest. So he plays some people into getting one, and then they immediately catch him, and he beats the shit out of them in some of the more violent stuff that I've seen within
Kind of
any Lord of the Rings.
Loved that fight scene.
Yeah.
That was like cool choreography. I liked the breaking of the arm
Mhm.
against
Ooh,
the side.
that always
Don't-
gets me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't see that enough, really.
No, a good putting it on something and breaking it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good stuff. Yeah, and then he gets carted off to a cell. So not being a great guest so far.
Did we skip over the horse ride, or is that to come?
I think we just haven't talked about it yet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chronologically, I don't know, but I'm
Skipped over
dying.
it.
I'm
We skipped
sitting
over it. We
here.
already talked about the
Yeah,
house.
when
I'm
They rode the
shaking.
horse going to the Hall of Lore.
Yeah. What do you want to say about it, Stacey?
Why? Why?
Because it was an excuse to be cinematic. That was it. It was an excuse
Why?
to be cinematic. And because they can't do that in any other part of the show.
I
So
know
they're like,
why.
oh, we know fabric can look pretty.
This is
I know
so
why.
strange.
I
It was
think
fine.
they were trying to get us to be like, hey, Gladriel's not all doom and gloom. She likes some things and she really loves
Likes
riding
horsies.
horses.
What a free
But they did it in
spirit.
the weirdest way. The weirdest
He
way.
likes
That was-
horsies.
This was so strange. You have 10 minutes of Arwen riding a horse, and I'd watch that every single day for the rest of my life and be like, she
Oh.
loves horses. She
Oh, yeah.
loves to ride, because it's just a woman riding a horse at the end of the day. Why are we bringing slow-mo into this?
I think it was just
Or-
a release for Galadriel. She's captured. She's been on a boat. She swam like 1,000 miles or so.
I would have been all in on just seeing the same amount of time spent on Galadriel riding a horse on the beach, looking happy in regular motion. I don't know why they slowed it down.
And got mostly her gown and then a close up of her slightly strange smile.
Yeah.
She's
was
a
very weird.
beautiful woman, great actress, but I'm like, oh, this smile is like is kind of strange.
It looks like a Botox smile where like everything's frozen, but then so
That's
she's just
awesome.
kind of smiling with her eyes. And it's like, if you didn't
Smizing.
slow mo that down, we could have just enjoyed the
Yeah.
scene.
She has what I call like a high lip smile where it seems like her top lip kind of tucks in under the gum. Yeah, like
TM.
Matt's doing. Yeah.
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 Listen,
Like that.
Listeners
Ah.
can tell from the sound of my voice
Lip
right now,
smile.
just how my top lip is.
It's like it like folds in.
Yeah.
I was
Uh,
watching this with my husband, and after that scene, I just went, what was that? And he was like, and
Yeah.
Walker's all in on this show. Mike, he likes it probably as much as you. And he was like, that was really weird.
It looked like an iPhone like competition. It's like, hey, film something cool on your iPhone and maybe we'll put it on like a billboard. And that's what it looked like.
The only other stuff to discuss within here, or to at least bring up or mention, is Isildur, Elendil, and Aarion, the sister. They also have a unseen brother, Anarion. I guess Aarion has made it into the Builders Guild after Isildur has, hey, you should reply. And that surprises Elendil. Isildur is supposed to shove off again for another voyage, and he wants to defer it.
Okay, can we pause real quick?
Time on the Western Front. Yes. what?
I'm so
Okay.
sorry, Mike. What do we think the process is to get into the Builders Guild?
Well, we know you got to reply.
Sure. So what does
maybe
that
twice.
application entail?
Yeah,
It's
does she
very
have like a
much
First name,
portfolio?
last name, social.
And it's very much like high school shop class. You got to build like a swing set out of plastic straws and hot
Yeah.
glue.
She has
And-
dioramas all over her bedroom.
This language to say that it's a shitty writing to say that you apply for something. It's like, what is that language.
Just
I'm
the way they wrote about it, it felt like the lens of like someone applying to college in modern day times,
Exactly.
and they were like, oh, what can we do? Oh, just put Builders Guild in. And they like applied this modern situation. They overlaid it
Well,
on top of what they imagined happened back then, and it felt out of place.
Exactly.
I don't know formally enough about how medieval or ancient guilds worked, but I imagine there was an application process, or at least
I
some.
imagine it was, who is your father? Great,
Yeah.
you're in.
There's probably a lot of that. Maybe at
Like,
some point there was an application.
Tap
of
tap
some-
on the shoulder. Are you interested in building? Come to be
Yeah.
our guild. Networking and like
There's a lot of
speakeasies.
people.
I don't know what is that.
There's a lot of people in that island country.
And you got to be good as hell because they are chiseling away at stone nonstop.
Well,
Yeah,
she
keep it
was-
looking that clean.
She was rejected, right? She got her
Yes,
yeah.
but she reapplied at the
urging.
suggestion of Isildur.
Isildur.
And Elendil
Isildur.
seemed very shocked by that. He seemed very shocked of like,
Yeah, what was that?
Isildur
He convinced you? He doesn't even like your work.
What's the
Yeah.
drama there?
Yeah, exactly. Like, what is the family dynamic to where that's strange to the
Yeah.
dad?
Just
That scene was
using
weird.
what I've seen in this, it just seems like Isildur's the one that isn't the huge go-getter. That, and for him to be the one that's suggesting that she does, because they just had a conversation there where he's like, I'm gonna take a semester off. I'm gonna go find myself.
abroad.
Yeah.
And
so
with this
maybe
girl, she rides
some of that there.
horses.
Yeah.
I was excited to meet Isildur, and thus far, he's not doing
I
anything.
like the interaction, the goofy interactions with him and his sailor buds. I thought that was cartoonish but fun.
Yeah.
I just know
don't
he's gonna be the guy who doesn't throw the ring into the volcano, and
Yeah.
I am already mad at him.
Yeah.
I already
Um,
hate it.
That was one thing I think that some of you talked about in the last episode that I missed, talking about prequels and the toughness of a prequel, because you know how there's the exposition, or there's no stakes because you know how these people, where it goes. For me, I disagree with the bit there, because for me it's like seeing how it's the journey, seeing how they get to that point. For me, is what I'm in it for.
Like, I don't disagree with that, but if you're gonna put Galadriel in a life-threatening situation, like, oh, is she gonna drown or is she gonna be saved? That's when that kicks in. Like, I don't mind her journey overall, like that's great, but I don't want to keep seeing her like on the brink of death, because I just know that she's not gonna die.
Right. I think that's not smart writing at the end of the day.
I'm gonna disagree again. Just because there's a billion biographies where people are narrating, and the narrator is talking about the things that happen to them, and you're seeing the journey that they've gone through, and they're talking about it. You know that they live.
That's a good point. I guess then the show's not executing those moments
Mhm.
well, to the point where we become invested in that situation.
I think
Yeah,
they could do
and
better
she
with
and
it, but they're doing it for
Halbrand
me.
haven't even kissed yet.
They
hope
had a
that they
spicy
don't.
moment though. They had a spicy moment
did
when
have
he
a
was in the
spicy moment.
cell.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
felt
think that
that.
they're going to
I think they're
have
doing
that interest. All right, let's begin to wrap this up with some winners and losers. See those losers first. Matt.
Yes, I get to go first. My loser is that the elf whose name we never knew, who bore the wound of a paper cut and died instantly. What a sucker. Sorry, guy. Fare thee well. I would read your name in the Harfoot-esque rundown of those who have passed, but I never knew your name, man. So bye.
I'm looking
So
at
you will be
the-
known as Throat Slit.
I'm
Paper
looking
cut
at the
throat slit.
IMDb,
Paper throat.
and I think it might be Valandil.
Galandil,
Valandil. It's either Valandil or Maedhor.
made whore.
I
Yeah.
thought Valandil was the name of one of the guys on the boat.
Maybe.
You
I don't
said
know.
that
This is
so
the
exhausted. I thought it was one of the
That's why
guys
I
on
said
the phone.
I'm giving options. I'm not saying this is the right answer.
I thought it was the guy on the boat.
Who's your loser,
Where are
Stacey?
we? What's up?
Who's your loser?
I don't know.
How many episodes of this we got left?
four years of this.
Oh man, it could get better. Who knows? It'll get better.
Podcast?
My loser.
Hang in there, listeners.
My loser is the guy that got his face smashed into the wall in Numenor.
Oh,
It's the guy, he got his pin taken, he got his face smashed in. He was just kind of being a dick, and he thought he could come in with his little gang and sharks and jets it against this newcomer, and he got what was coming to him.
Yeah.
He could just try to take back the thing that was stolen from him. So,
Stacey, did you just throw down a West Side Story reference?
I'm so freaking tired.
Kelly, who's your loser?
My loser is Arondir. Lost two buddies, one to paper cut throat slit and one to arrows to the chest. And he's about to meet who seems like a super scary person. So
my loser is the watch warden who gets killed, makes it up to the top, and then gets Boromir'd.
Yeah.
And winners, Kelly.
I shit on it pretty hard, but I was having a hard time thinking of a winner for this, but mine is Galadriel because she got to ride a horse, and that seemed to have been super cool for her.
And she got her knife back.
And she got her knife back, which is a
Yeah.
big deal.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Matt.
Stacey?
deal. I didn't even know she lost.
Yeah, mine was also Galadriel, but I'll think of a new one. I'll say Nori, because even though it seemed like she was down and out and they were at the end of the pack, in comes a Gandalf-esque creature to help them carry the cart and get them through this migration. And that was what they really needed. So I'll say Nori and her fam.
Do y'all think that the Gandalf-like creature was better suited pushing the cart or pulling it? I found pushing it to be an interesting move.
Was he
Depends on
pushing
the
it? I couldn't
terrain.
tell if he pushed it or was like coming out of it, and they were.
It looked like a
careful.
wheelbarrow kind of thing. So I just figured pushing. You thought he could have like pulled it from behind. Oh, like,
Well, because
Oh,
it
I
has
see.
like
yeah. Maybe that's what he was going to do. And when he
Considering
came up behind.
Dad
That's
has a
when I- oh.
busted foot. It's like, so Dad definitely shouldn't be pulling.
Yeah, put that
but
dad in the cart.
I digress. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's dead weight. Leave him behind.
I don't know the mechanics
Whoa,
of it.
Mike.
But,
Dark.
Woo, you are
Matt.
so dark.
Who's your winner, Matt?
Mine goes to the most interesting new character in a show that really didn't need new characters in the third episode. We already have so many. Elendil, is that his name? The
Elendil,
Sealed Book of
yeah.
Dad.
Elendil.
Good actor.
Our brightest star.
Liked his vibe, cool character. Don't know what's going on with his whole kid dynamic and stuff, but like his scene with Galadriel was fun, and he got a promotion. So good for him, I guess. I guess he's also a little bit in trouble with the queen, but she seems like she's bad, so that's good if she's in trouble with him, right? Maybe.
Yeah. Galadriel was
Tell
my
me.
winner. So I'm going to go with Arian. Hey, guess what? She got in the Builders Guild. so,
Hey, good
so
job.
congrats, Arian.
she's also
getting in the build.
stunningly beautiful. Why
Yeah.
is she the most beautiful person in the show?
Yeah, she's great. All right. That will do it
Put
for
some
this
dirt on her.
episode of put
Make her
some
look
detail-
old.
Put some detail on her.
My dirt is detail.
For this episode of The Beacons Are Lit, a Lord of the Rings podcast. We're back next week. Thank you to the fellowship, Matt. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Stacey. And thank you all for listening. Bye.